Boom. I might have missed it. 25 seconds. We're getting better at this. We are. Guys, do me a favor. If you could go ahead and just, if you could share this live with people that you think would be interested in having the conversation we're about to have. And it's a I must tell you, it's a beautiful, what is today, Wednesday? Thursday, unbelievable. You know, the days, I can remember a time when it literally took forever to move from Monday to Friday. When we were teenagers, it seemed like a lifetime. Now, at my age, you blink, it's Monday, you blink again, it's Sunday afternoon. Where does the time go? Well, you know, the thing is, once you pass the halfway mark in life, everything's shorter. You don't have enough time, there's not enough time to do anything because, you know, you have less time now than you did when you were younger. That's what they say anyway. Guys, go ahead and jump on this live. The very first thing I need to hear you guys say is this broadcast is loud and clear. I need to hear that before I proceed, and I need to also verify that on my phone. Oh, sorry. That's an old video. Let me just verify the sound, because you know me, I'm a stickler for sound. If the sound's not good, if it's not gelling, then it's not jello. Okay, I just need to, just for my own personal peace of mind, I need to know this. I need to know that the sound is good. Okay, so I'm just going to try it here now. Just give me a moment. Sunday afternoon. Where does the time go? All right, perfect. I think we're good. I think we are. Guys, before I say what I need to say this morning, I just need to very quickly, I know a lot of people have been asking, they send me these inbox messages. They ask me about this little man. I have two of these. I have a white one, and then I have a black one. These are beautiful. I got these from Cozy House over on Alacancata Road. I'm a big decor person. I love decor. I love decoration. I love ornaments. I'm big on that, you know. And it's always a good idea when you do sort of decorate your office or your home, it's always a good idea to sort of switch and change things. Don't keep items in the same spot for years. You know, change stuff around. So I've got that one, and I have this black one, you know, and they're beautiful. I love them. That's for those of you that are interested in this sort of thing. Before I get into what I need to talk to you about, I just need to mention two things. I wanted to give you a brief on Puff Daddy's case. As many of you know, Cassandra Ventura, Puff Daddy's ex-girlfriend, who's a very famous, I guess, R&B singer. She testified a second time in the Puff Daddy case, and she revealed some very disturbing elements of her relationship with the music mogul Puff Daddy. But I just wanted to highlight something, because I know this is something, especially in Zambia, people don't know what a freak-off is. And you read that in the reports. Now, in America, the word freak, I know this because I lived there for 7 years, so I'm very familiar with the terminology. A freak-off is a slang word, okay? It's not something that you generally use, but it's a colloquial phrase. It's a slang word. Let me explain what it means and where it came from and what it means in this context. Now, strictly speaking, a freak is something that you don't usually see. It's something that you don't usually witness. A freak it's like an anomaly. It's something that is not common, okay? So like a freak show is something that you don't always watch. It comes once in a long time. So the word freak comes from that. It literally means something that you don't usually see. Now, in America, a freak is basically a woman that is willing to do anything sexually. That's a freak. Okay? When you hear a black American say, "Oh, she a freak," that means she's willing to explore every single sexual avenue, every single sexual fantasy that you may have. She's willing to fulfill it. Why? Because she's a freak. Okay? Now, in this context, in the Puff Daddy context, basically a freak-off is a place and a time that Puff Daddy would gather his friends, his girlfriends, escort services. An escort is a woman that charges for sex. Men do it as well. There are men escorts, and there are women escorts. A woman escort is a woman that charges for sex. The difference between a street prostitute and an escort is that a street prostitute, you drive down the road, you see a woman dressed scantily clad in a mini black dress, 8-inch stilettos, and she's got rouge all over her face, and you pull up and you say, "Hey, how much?" That's a street prostitute. An escort is a higher class prostitute. Okay, it's a higher tier of a prostitute. Usually escorts, you phone, it's like an agency. You phone the place and say, "Hey, look, I want a girl. She has to be blonde or brunette or short dark hair. She has to be 6, whatever it is." And then that agency will pair you with a girl based upon your description. So Puff Daddy had escorts that would come to these freak-offs. And a freak-off in this context was a time that Puff Daddy would gather all these people, his friends, escort services, and they would do the most crazy sexual things that the human mind can ever conjure. Freak-offs. And I must tell you, in yesterday's trial, it became so weird when they began to show, when the prosecution began to show the images from those freak-offs. The courtroom literally went silent because they just, it was just shocking what they were looking at. And at some point, Puff Daddy's daughters, because, Puff Daddy has twin daughters, and I think he's got a couple of other kids, young men. They were so disturbed by what they were watching, they literally just got up and left. And I must tell you, this case is, of course, she's going to be cross-examined by the defense, and the defense is going to do what they do. They're going to try and discredit every ounce, every smidgen, every jot, every tittle of her testimony. They're going to try and break it apart, but you can't fake the funk, as they say in America. You can't fake the funk. At this stage of the trial, it's very clear where this is going. So we keep watching. The saga continues. The second thing I want to talk about before my main topic, which is my apology. Somebody wrote me a message. They said, how do you feel now that diplomats and people have donated to the family that lost those beautiful 3 boys? How do you feel? I said, well, I don't, my feeling hasn't changed. And I think Zambians, this is where most Zambians lose sight of the real issue. I am not against benevolence. I'm not against empathy. I'm not against this outpouring of support, financial support for the family. I'm not against that. Anybody that would be against that wouldn't be right. What I'm simply saying is we must focus on the issue of neglect, negligence. My position on negligence has not changed, and it will never change. And as long as we keep burying our heads in the sand and pretending that there is a bigger underlining issue of neglect. There's a huge, gargantuan, stark, magnificent element of negligence that runs through the theme of this issue. Unless we are willing to admit that, then we're not going to make any progress. We're simply dancing and skirting around the real issue. We are arranging the chairs. We are rearranging the chairs on the Titanic. We're not dealing with the problem, because at the core, 3 lives have been lost. Guys, listen to me. It doesn't matter how much money you give a family. It doesn't matter how much outpouring of financial and monetary support that you can give a family. And that is right, and it's fine to do, and you're fine to do that. It's the right thing to do. But you cannot negate, you cannot ignore the fact that 3 beautiful boys' lives have been lost in this tragedy. What was the cause? It was neglect. Negligence caused that. That should be our focus. That should be our message. And I keep telling you, this is a really good opportunity for the local authority, for the fire department, for the government, for agencies all across this nation to begin to educate our people on this very prevalent behavior of leaving children on their own and expecting everything to be okay. The number one problem in this country is that we have this over-induced faith in circumstances. It's God that secures our safety. That's the translation. Many people on the street, I see people, I'll give you an example. When you're driving down the road, sometimes you see young men sitting on the side of the road, literally on the edge of the road, on the edge, just chatting. And I pull over and I say to the guys, now they're not sitting on the sidewalk, okay? Some of you that live in Zambia, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not saying sitting on the sidewalk. I'm saying, for example, Papa, what is that? Cairo Road. You're driving Cairo Road. Edge. They're sitting on the edge, literally on the edge of the road. When I pull over and I say to them, what if a car loses control and runs into you? The moment the car bumps you, no one is going to talk about how careless you were for sitting on the side of the road. They're going to charge that driver for reckless driving. No one is going to say, no, the chap was sitting on the side of the road, therefore he was putting himself in harm's way. No. The narrative will be, this driver was so careless, he bumped into that man. When you speak to those people who sit on the side of the road, the number one response, Nilesa Otusunga. Nilesa Otusunga. God protects us. Why do you put yourself in harm's way? When you put yourself in harm's way, the likelihood of you being hurt, injured, or even killed is very high. So don't put yourself in harm's way. My message has never changed, and it will never change. And let me reiterate, because in Zambia you have to say again and repeat and repeat. My message has never changed. It's fine to be benevolent. It's fine to be supportive financially to a family that have lost their children. It's wonderful. And we commend everybody that does that. God bless you for that. That's the way it's supposed to be. But it doesn't negate the fact that 3 children's lives have been lost, and someone has to be responsible for that. God forbid that this was a maid. If this had been a maid, if this had been a maid who had left her post and left those children alone, and they died in a fire because a maid left her post, my goodness, social media, you'll be screaming for the maid's head. And there are many. The courthouse is replete. The courthouse is full of cases like that. Go to the court records, full. So many cases, a maid left her post, the child crawled out of the house, slipped and fell into the swimming pool, the child died. The maid left her post. Off with the maid's head. How dare she do that? The gall. How dare she leaves her post? And one of the comments that got me, that just really perked my ears when and literally my eyes were as big as saucers when I read this comment. The comment was, when I said, if this had been done by a maid, had a maid left her post and these children had died, the comment was, no, the maid is different because that is her responsibility to take care of those children. My response to that was, and what is the responsibility of a parent? If you say the responsibility is for the maids to take care of her children, and if she leaves her post and those children die, that maid should be held accountable. What then is the difference between the maid leaving her post and a parent leaving her post? No, the difference is the maid, that's her responsibility. So what is then the responsibility of the parent? It is to... It's different. It's to what? You see, when you have these types of conversations, you must understand, think analytically. Don't think emotionally. Oh, I'm a light, yeah. Oh my goodness. Imwe. You guys need to hold on. Chabashani. You need to wait. I'm not going to cut this. I got like 2,000 people watching. I'm not going to cut this live. You're going to have to wait, guys. Give me 2 minutes. Imwe. Oh, for goodness sake. All right. We're going rogue. We have to go rogue. The power's gone. So we're just going to have to make do with the light. Alrighty. So that's my position on that. Okay. Guys, I have an apology to make. And hear me when I say this. Okay. Yes, and for you to understand my apology, I have to give you context. I have to give you a bit of backstory. You guys know that the Zed farmer, Maria Zalumis, she posted on her Facebook page that she had a call out for me. And yesterday I went looking for the police post where I was supposed to go to. But the thing is, when she sent it to me, she sent it to me on WhatsApp on my phone, and I didn't, and guys, this is the truth. I didn't even bother to look at the details. I just thought, you know, I'm going to look for this police station. I don't even know where the hell it is. So I went down, I was driving down Church Road, and I got to Levy Mall, in between Levy and Evelyn Hone. And there was a police officer there who was directing traffic, and I pulled over and I asked the officer, I said, excuse me, sir, excuse me, officer, could you tell me where Prospect police post is, or police station? And the officer said, Prospect? He said, there is no Prospect here. I said, well, there's got to be, because I'm supposed to be going to some station named Prospect. So the police officer says to me, the Prospect you're talking about is in Kabwe. It's in Kabwe town. I said, you're kidding. He said, yeah. I mean, if it's Prospect you're looking for, it's in Kabwe. He says, why? I said, I got this chick on the phone. She sent me this call out to go to some place named Prospect. And he said, well, as long as she didn't give you a physical call out, she can't send you a virtual call out. Number one. Number two, there is no Prospect here. It's in Kabwe. Now, I remember, many of you know I was recently in Kabwe. We were commissioning a borehole there in a small village on the outskirts of Kabwe, in a small village called Chikuse village. Chikuse. My driver and I, we drove there. It's almost 3 hours outside of Kabwe, deep in the outskirts of Kabwe. And I remembered that on the way to Kabwe, we passed this police post. You know, my driver reminded me. And when he reminded me, I remembered the image of the police post called Prospect in Kabwe. And yesterday, in describing the police post, I made a snide remark. You guys know what a snide remark is? I sort of made a sarcastic remark. And I talked about, I described the police post as a rinky-dink, dingy sort of police post, and I disparaged the police post. And I want you guys to know that as imperfect as I am, and I am imperfect, okay, as flawed as I am, and I am flawed, okay, I want to give off the vibe that I am at least a law-abiding citizen. That's the very least that I'm trying to sort of convey to you. And it wouldn't be right for me to attempt to be a law-abiding citizen batuku ninyo za boma, ninyo za police post. And so I want you to know that I do not for one moment want to give you the impression that I'm going to disparage a police post or police station regardless of how derelict it looks. It is wrong. It is not right for citizens to talk about the state of a police post. The most important thing is the service the police provide. It's got nothing to do with the way it looks. It's got nothing to do with the exterior. It's got nothing to do with, you know, the lack of paint jobs and the lack of cobra that's applied on the exterior. It's got nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with the service that our police, our uniformed men and women provide for the citizens of this country. And so I from me to you, from the bottom of my heart, I want to unreservedly apologize for calling Prospect a dingy place, a rinky-dink place. I should not have said that. I spoke out of turn, and that should not be condoned. And I truly apologize for that. Okay? Alrighty. Thank you. Thank you for watching. God bless. Bye. Amalai tanaye. Tahuri malai tukuna. Matachi deshina.